What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to dive into how to select the color crankbait for the right application, or the application that you're dealt with on the water. Let's dive into it right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm just opening up this box right here. I have a ton of DT6s, as you guys could probably tell, a lot. That's a lot of different colors out there. And this is the thing, like when you go into an academy and you go down the aisle and you see all these crankbait colors and you're just like, oh my goodness, like which one do I buy? Like, say it like, do I need this one, that one? Really, the number one question you have to think about is, first, what lake and body of water are you gonna go fishing in? And what is the main forage? So like, for instance, so say I'm up north and it's summertime, say I'm in Minnesota or I'm in New York, going up there, I'm gonna pay attention. The main forages up there, a lot of times is small perch and is bluegill. So then, I might pick up a perch color. This guy had a little something on him. Little perch color DT6 or something like that. And then I actually have some bluegill ones in here somewhere too. Some like live, this is actually like a smallmouth bass. Like that guy right there. But overall, it really comes down to water clarity, time of year, and the forage. So pay attention to the forage, number one. This time of year, springtime, let's just say springtime here on Lake Chickamauga. It's warming up. You have some places that are going to be stained water in some of the backs of the creeks. Some places, like the Hiawassee, are going to be, a little bit more stained than maybe the main lake. It all depends on the water, how much rain we've had. The Tennessee River normally is a little cleaner than the Hiawassee is. It's all different, but most of the time I'm going to be thinking about stained water. So I'll pick a few different colors, like, some of my favorite colors in the springtime. The dirtier the water, the more fluorescent and brighter colors that I want. So I'm going to dig in here, and grab a couple. The reason why I feel like the color like Demon is so good is because a lot of times in the springtime, the water's so muddy and stained. That's more like a fluorescent, like really bright. It's actually a pink. It's not even a red. For whatever reason, they bite the sucker. You've seen it. I've seen it. A lot of people have seen it. They bite that color. It's got like a pink or purple back, and they seem to bite him. So that's the thing, is like, I'm gonna grab something like that. I might grab like a blue or like a brown and chartreuse, something more crawdad oriented. Like, I do like browns and I do like brighter colored chartreuses, but tend to pick more of like the crawdad type colors in the springtime, just for the fact of the matter, if it's pre-spawn, even all the way up until they're spawning, I feel like that color it really doesn't seem like it matters where you're at in the country. Like in springtime to you might be, if you're living up in Minnesota or something like that, it might be like May. But it seems like that those bass really bite pre-spawn. They really bite those crawdad patterns. Now, that's the thing. If the water's super, super clean, Highland Reservoir, I might go with a natural color, green crawdad color. Okay, this is more natural. If the water, even 5-6 foot of visibility, I've seen it work on a lot of lakes where a natural crawdad color, or like let me see this guy right here. This is like a red, sort of a darker red color with a little bit of a highlight on the. That dude looks really good. So I might throw this if the water's like 3 foot of visibility, over maybe that one where I'm throwing it a little bit different. So it's really just playing with it. And really the key with the whole deal is figuring out what color works for you. Now, this is the other thing, okay? Now I'm talking about crawdads, and I do think crawdad colors are great in the springtime. That's what works for me a lot of times. But this is the other thing. I'm also not so locked into, if I'm sitting here on this body of water and there's bait and I see bait all over my graph, and maybe I've seen a bass roll on some bait, that I know, like, hey, these fish are keying in on shad. Maybe I need to pick up a shad color crankbait. And the other thing that I will do, picking up a shad color like this guy right here, like a penguin or a disco shad, like that might be the option. And one thing that I will do in the springtime when the water is really dirty, muddy almost, I will opt to go for, if I feel like the fish are feeding on shad, a white colored crankbait, like a main backdrop on the sides. These are white, like a penguin. This has a little bit of chartreuse in the belly of the disco shad. And the reason for this is, why is this, okay? Because what happens in the springtime, a lot of times if the water's been muddy for a long time, the shad that they're actually feeding on, it is a white hue. So I feel like rather than sometimes throwing a chartreuse color crankbait, which I will, it just depends on what I'm trying to really imitate, I will throw a white main base color on my crankbaits like this one right here, just because I feel like that matches the forage that much better. So it really is trial and error. I've seen things when I'm throwing a crankbait that I can't explain. I can't explain sometimes where I'm like, hey, I'm fishing in the back of this creek and there's shad everywhere, and for whatever reason the water's super clean and I'm throwing a red crankbait and they're biting it out of my hand. There's sometimes it's fishing. It's trial and error. I mean, why do they bite a methylate floating worm in the springtime? Like, what the heck does that, why do they bite that thing? But they do. So there's certain things that you can't always say, hey, this is always how it's going to be. But I try to sort of, be realistic about it and try to take the clues that I see on the water. And I'll also, one thing that I will do if the water drops, say on Chickamauga or something like that, I'll even go out there and like maybe look for, as the summer wears on or as the spring wears on, I'll actually get in some of these little creeks and stuff and actually wait and see what the color of the crawdads are in that given area. I've even done this plenty around the country, sort of to help me sort of understand if there is a certain main color. A lot of color, a lot of times in the summertime they're more of like a green. So that's why a green pumpkin like bandito bugs or something, crawl color baits are good. But I've seen it also times where I'm down there in like Louisiana and they're black and dark and towards the springtime too. So like a black neon, like a little maybe like some red hints. So I think that's something as well. Paying attention to the forage. You don't always have to be specific, like dialed in, but that is definitely like some of the ways that I select my crankbait colors. And really it goes down to even going to jerkbait colors a little bit different, but that's what I try to do. I try to really just common sense. What are you seeing on the water? What are you dealing with? What do you think the fish are going to be, biting? And if it doesn't work, sometimes I'll go the exact opposite. Like sometimes I will throw, not very often, but I have thrown a chartreuse crankbait like for smallmouth and super clear water where they're more sight feeders. And for whatever reason, just burning that crankbait gets them to react. It's just some things you can't always plan for. That's why we have sometimes a box full of crankbaits. Hopefully this helps you out picking and selecting one. I know I ramble on a lot, but there's sometimes you can't explain it all. But hopefully this helps you select those crankbaits or those particular colors that you are this springtime, summertime. Let me know how you guys are going, how everything's going this year. I'm excited to be pumping out a whole bunch of new content. Thank you guys so much for following along. If you want to see a video, like a specific video, drop a comment below. I'm always looking for video ideas. And if you are in need or you need some help on something, if I can help you out and shoot a video to help you sort of instruction video, I'm going to do that. Thank you guys so much for following along. See y'all next time.